So at the moment, it's looking as though Donald Trump is not going to debate Vice President Kamala Harris again. And really, who can blame him after the disastrous performance that he had? But what's been so hilarious to me is watching Trump and his supporters go back and forth on that debate, because one minute they will tell you that Trump won it, that it was 92% to 7%. He just blew her completely out of the water. And all the polls says that he won. And even Democrats and even liberals says that he won the debate. And then the next thing is the debate was rigged. They were unfair to him. It was 3-on-1. The moderators attacked him. They fact checked him too many times. And now Trump is even going to the point of saying that ABC needs to be investigated. Take a look.
Questions and topics. Do you join in those questions?
Sure, I do. I think they should be investigated, and they have to get a license from the federal government. They asked me 9 or 11 different times about things that I was right on in virtually every case.
So if he was the clear-cut winner of the debate, then why investigate ABC? What he should have said was, you know what? I don't need anyone to look into them. I beat them at their own game. I was so good. I beat Kamala Harris. I beat the moderators. Don't worry about them. They're of no threat to me whatsoever. But suddenly they need to be looked into. They need to be investigated. If he really thought he won the debate, he wouldn't be saying that. And I think even his most staunch supporters should be able to realize that you know what, this guy right here, if he really believed he won, this is the guy, by the way, that said, keep counting in the states that I'm losing and just find me the votes, but stop counting in the places where I'm winning. So if he thought that he won, trust me, he would not be saying these things. But we all know the real reason why that Donald Trump doesn't want to debate Kamala Harris again. It's because Donald Trump just cannot stand to be called out on his bullshit. And he also can't stand to be in a world where he could possibly lose. And Mary Trump brings this point across so great in this next clip. Let's take a look at it, and then we're going to talk more about why Trump probably won't debate Kamala again.
For you to this point, I mean, he seemed surprised, this week, Trump, that a woman could be doing better than him on the stage, better than a man. So I want to play something he had to say and get your thoughts on it. There are a few people who know how to know what he's thinking than you. So let's play that.
They put her in, and she's somehow a woman. Mm-hmm. Somehow she's doing better than he did.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine it can last.
Somehow a woman. I mean, this is kind of one of those things where he's refusing to do this debate so far. The next one, he seems surprised she wiped the floor with him at the debate. Is it a gender thing? What is that about?
Well, we are a family of misogynists. Even many of the women in my family were misogynists. So it is not at all surprising how clearly his contempt for women comes through, specifically when he's speaking about Vice President Harris. We've also seen how he speaks about women in general, the overturning of Roe v. Wade. But part of this, too, is just Donald once again failing the cognitive test. He just cannot exist in a world where he isn't always the winner. Recognizing himself as a loser is almost impossible. Being a loser was absolutely the worst thing you could be in my family. I mean, it was lethal to be a loser in my family. So he's still suffering from the narcissistic injury Vice President Harris inflicted on him at the first debate, which will be the only debate because Donald will never, ever allow himself to be in that kind of vulnerable position again.
You know, I have to give her credit for just admitting out loud that she comes from a family of misogynists, but she just goes ahead and admits it. And really, how could you not admit it when you're the niece of Donald Trump? I can't imagine what it would be like to have that guy in your family. We all have had the drunk uncle that we defend at the cookout. We've always had those. But can you imagine you're related to Donald Trump and you actually have a voice of reason in you and you have to go out and explain why he's the way he is? But she just goes ahead and admits that the whole family was that way. And, she's absolutely right. He could not stand to put himself in a position or in a place where he's a loser. Trust me, Donald Trump listens and pays attention to what people are saying about him on social media. And he has to have known that he got dragged after that debate. He has to have known the laughingstock that he's become since. And the minute he said that about they're eating the dogs, that moment, that's one of those moments we're going to be playing for years to come. People will be looking back on that from now on And they're going to be seeing Kamala laughing at him and that reaction. And people are going to be saying, yeah, that's the moment when she realized that he was cooked. No pun intended. That's the moment where she realized that she had him, because she baited him every time and he took it. And that's the part that I enjoyed so much about the debate, was watching him get baited. And I'm sure he's heard people say that. I'm sure he's heard people point that out. And he knows deep down in his gut, deep down in his heart of hearts, that he wouldn't be able to debate her again and not take the bait. He can't, because he's so fragile. He's so weak that if she was to mention his crowd size, or she was to mention how someone hates him or someone doesn't like him, or, I mean, it could be the simplest thing she could point at, he'll take the bait, because he cannot stand the thought of being outdone. He cannot have any temperament to withhold himself from just blurting out what he's feeling. And I think deep down he knows that. So he's not going to allow himself to ever be put in a position like that again. And I'll be really surprised if he debates her. This is the first time in history, folks, that I remember this ever happening. And if someone out there can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't ever remember hearing any political candidate say, well, I lost that debate, so I'm never having another one, and then try to blame it on the media, blame it on the moderators. I've heard people, and saw people give a bad debate performance, and they always just talk about it kind of like a football coach or anyone else, a boxer who will say, well, didn't do so good in that one, but we're going to get back in the gym and we're going to start working on our flaws and try to correct ourselves, and we're going to keep our jab up the next time. That's what normal people say, but Trump isn't normal at all. You have to remember that. But I don't think he will ever put himself in a position to lose a debate against her again and run the risk that close to the election. Because imagine, I don't know exactly when the next one would be, but imagine if it was closer to the election and that's the last memory. Imagine if we could have a debate like the Thursday before that Tuesday, and that was fresh on everyone's mind going into the polls. I think that he knows he can't risk it. And I really don't think he's ever going to put himself in a position to lose again if he were to lose when he loses come November. I'm going to pull up this video here, and we're going to take a look at this one together, because I truly, folks, cannot imagine that he would ever put himself in a position again. Here he is saying and admitting that if he loses this year, that he won't run again in 2028. Let's take a look at this together.
And then, if you're not successful this time, do you see yourself running again in 4 years?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I think that will be it. I don't see that at all. I think that hopefully we're going to be successful.
Mr. President, thank you for the interview.
I have to say that's the first time that that's the first time I've ever heard him really answer a question that quickly, to say, no, I'm not doing this again. I think he knows, folks. I think he knows deep down, and I think that's why that he's trying to distract us as much as possible. I think that's why he's trying to muddy the water as much as possible and get us to talking about everything he can in order to distract us from the issues at hand. But I think deep down he knows he's going to lose, and it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen when he loses. It's going to be interesting to see how quickly he fades away. I do expect that he will kick and scream, especially up to the inauguration. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have to have doesn't attempt to have some sort of January 6th event again. That would not surprise me. But once Kamala is sworn in and once he realizes it's over, we may see the guy fade away, because then he would have to come out and answer every time he did an interview. He would have to answer about losing again. And so we may very well see the guy fade away. If what Mary Trump is saying is true, that he won't allow himself to be put in that position again, then I don't know if we'll see him after this. I think he may fade away pretty quick. And I think the only reason why he put himself in this position to begin with, running again in 2024, is because he was trying to dodge all accountability. He was running in hopes to pardon himself. And he also really believed in his heart of hearts that he could beat Joe Biden. And then after the debate with Joe Biden, I feel like that he thought, oh, I've got this one in the bag. I can beat Joe Biden. This is easy. I've got it. And then he got left hooked. And ever since Kamala come into the race, he has not known how to combat her. He doesn't know how. And he digs in his heels deeper and just makes a bigger mess. He's got J.D. Vance going to bat for him. And every time Vance goes to bat, he makes things worse. I don't know how much his campaign staff is saying to him on the sidelines. I feel like they have to be a bunch of yes men just saying what that he wants to hear and telling him that he's crushing it and doing good, because no reasonable campaign strategist or campaign advisor would be sitting back going, oh boy, yeah, Donnie, you're crushing this. They have to know. And they had to have those moments in the debate where they were saying he's being baited, unless they were just people that didn't know what they were talking about to start with, unless he was like Mike Tyson's trainers in the Buster Douglas fight. And here we go again with one of my boxing analogies. But when Tyson fought Douglas right before that fight, a couple of fights before that, I think, I may be wrong, I think he did the Michael Spinks fight. It may be Carl the Truth Williams. I can't remember. But he fired his longtime trainer, Kevin Rooney, that had trained him and had worked with Customato. He fired that guy, and I think he only had 2 or 3 fights after that. And he ended up losing to Douglas. And when Douglas was beating the brakes off of him, they were just over there in the corner saying, you got this, you're doing great. Keep going, Mike. Maybe that's what Trump's campaign is doing. Maybe they're just as clueless as that. They're just telling him to keep going. But either way, he's blowing it, and I'm loving watching him do it. And I love the fact that he answered that quickly. No, I won't try it again, because he could never. I never wanted to see him run again. I really didn't. And I was so disgusted when I realized he was going to run again. But now I'm actually glad, because when he loses to a black woman and he has to go out there, and every time he's asked for the rest of his days, no matter what happens to him going forward, he would have to sit down and face that humiliation every time he took an interview. And in my opinion, folks, it could not have happened to a nicer guy. Thank you guys so much for supporting what it is that I do here on the channel. If you haven't already, be sure and hit that subscribe button, and be sure to go over and check out our Patreon. I've got it tagged in the link below in the description of the video. So I appreciate your all support in supporting what I do. And we'll just keep calling out this bullshit. We have a full-time job as long as there's news out there to make. I mean, we're going to be talking about it. It's constant. You're always on call when you do this line of work, but I truly enjoy it, and I appreciate you guys for being here with me. So thank you, and we'll see you again next time.